First of all, I don't look at analytics. Well, let me tell you why. I never planned to go into social media, ever. I never planned to go into marketing. I was going to be You have permission to do things differently. You have permission to never. The question I get all the time is, okay, Chelsea, seriously, how is posting what I had for lunch going to help me get more listings? Prove it. What I accidentally found out when I shared something that wasn't expertise driven, I actually got. You can't measure the most impactful moments. I just had somebody in my DMs that literally said to me, your magic post where you talked about still sits with me.
Today's guest is Chelsea Peitz, one of the most influential voices in real estate marketing. She's an Inman Marketing All-Star, best-selling author, keynote speaker, and host of the Chelsea Peitz podcast. Chelsea is known for human-centered social media, teaching agents how to create content that connects, builds trust, and actually drives results. And yes, we're even getting her to share her most cringe moment on social media in the confession booth. Think your worst reel was embarrassing? Wait until you hear Chelsea's confession. This was a good one. Hello and welcome back to Simplifying Social Media. I'm your host, Tammany, owner of The Simple Touches, and today I am thrilled we get to chat with the one and only Chelsea Peitz. Thank you so much. Welcome to the pod, Chelsea.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
I don't even know. I told you, all week I've been giddy. We're going to have such a good conversation.
We are. We're going to have so much fun because that's what we do. Of course, it's going to be fun.
For those of you who don't know, Chelsea is a powerhouse in real estate marketing, video content, and personal branding. And we are going to try a few new things on the pod today, which I'm excited Chelsea gets to be my guinea pig. So let's get started. If you were to have a one-liner and you opened up an elevator full of realtors, what would you tell them that you do?
Oh, I love this question. And I feel like this is something that everybody who's listening should be able to do. And let me tell you, it's pretty challenging, right? I think it's really hard to think about what we do and how we describe ourselves. I saw a post yesterday that said, if you had to describe yourself without telling me exactly what you do, what words would you use? So I love this question. And I would say social media marketing with heart and humanity, not hustle or hacks.
I love that. I read that in your little bio that you submitted, and I was like, oh. And if you guys noticed when she said that, you probably felt something, right? You want your branding to make your audience feel something. And what you said, with and without what? Say it again, with?
Social media marketing with heart and humanity, not hustle or hacks.
I love it. I love it. So this is where a cute little tagline for your branding comes in handy, right? But I always say, and maybe Chelsea, you have something you can add on to this. I always tell my clients, if you can copy and paste your tagline, your bio, your whatever, and put it in another realtor's tagline bio, and it still makes sense, it's doing nothing for you.
Yeah, it's that uncopy pastable factor that I talk about a lot. And I love to make up words, hence the word uncopy pastable. It's figuring out what are the things that really make your personal brand. Mm-hmm. And as somebody who helps people with personal branding, I have to be the first to tell you it's extremely difficult to, one, think about yourself constructively, right? You are living in your own mind and body every single day. And most of us feel like, oh, there's not anything special about me. I'm just a regular everyday person. How on earth am I going to create something that's unique as a quote unquote personal brand that stands out and communicates who I am and what I do and how I do it amongst a sea of people who are doing the same thing? So I totally understand how stressful it is. And maybe we'll talk about that today as how to figure out what even is my personal brand? Because if you can't really figure that out, it's really hard to figure out your voice and your messaging and the niche and all of the jargon that all the marketing people are throwing around.
Yeah.
It's just really hard. And it's really hard when someone says, just be authentic. You're like, but what does that mean? And to be quite honest, it's very hard to be authentic on social media because we're not really sure who we are. And so there's a lot of layers that happen under that, and being, uncopy pastable and what actually entails those things that help us to be who we are.
So maybe I can kind of fold these next two questions together. So I'd love to know, one, kind of your story, like how did you end up in the social media marketing for realtors space? And then within that, could you maybe tell a personal story of maybe like a time you didn't get your personal branding quite right and what that taught you?
Yes. So this actually is one and the same. So it's a perfect story to tell because I just want to be very clear that like we are human beings, right? We're not realtors that happen to be human beings. We're human beings that happen to be in the real estate world. I am no longer a realtor, but I was licensed for 18 years, well before social media existed as it does now. Certainly we were not talking to our cameras and making videos. So I did business the quote unquote old fashioned way for a really long time. I'm also a Gen Xer, so I'm one of the last generations that did not grow up with the Internet of Things constantly around us. So anyone who's listening who's feeling a little overwhelmed and perhaps a little resentful that in 2025 it feels like we have to be a full-time content creator first and a real estate person second, we got you. Don't worry. But I never planned to go into social media ever. I never planned to go into marketing. I was going to be a therapist. I got my degree and I was going to be a therapist, and I love helping people. I love sort of the coaching aspect. If you know my personality, you can see that within me. I care about people. I have a lot of compassion and empathy, and I want to give people permission. And so that was just a natural draw, was to help people through that. Well, I realized really quickly I was highly sensitive and empathetic.
Same.
And I was like, probably not a great idea for me to be crying all day and like, taking on all of this energy with my clients. And so I joke, but it's true. I did the next best thing and became a realtor, which is basically kind of the same thing. I feel like a lot of people will understand that. So I planned to be somebody who was a counselor, a therapist, a helper, and also a teacher. And I am still that, but I never planned to get into social media. I took a marketing director position in the world of real estate. I left real estate in 2008, which for those of you listening, wasn't that a great year. I left in 2008 because I was very emotionally saddened by the inability to be able to help my clients. I also lost my home and, the short sales and all of that. And I felt sad that I wasn't able to do more, even though I tried working with the short sales and all that. So I decided to move into a marketing role in the world of real estate. I said, I don't know a lot about real estate. I can help and I'll learn about marketing. So I'm self-taught. I was listening to a podcast by Gary Vee, and he was talking about Snapchat because, in the old days, Snapchat was the new thing, right? And it just caught my attention thinking, I'm going to try this thing out. I'm just going to try it out. And so I downloaded it. I had no idea what I was doing. It was super weird because this was the days where we didn't talk to our camera. There was no Instagram stories. There were no TikToks. We didn't do videos, like rarely. There was YouTube and that was about it. And so this app opened up to just a camera and you were like, well, I'm not really sure what to do with this. I guess I'll just talk to it. And so it was like we were talking to like nothing, right? And over time, I met some other real estate people on the app, and I started a daily marketing Snapchat show where I would give marketing tips, and that was kind of my brand. And so when we talk about a brand evolution, what I accidentally found out is that when I shared something that wasn't expertise driven, i.e. some human life, I actually got more engagement and built a lot of trust and real relationships. So that started me on my journey of wondering, why do I feel like I actually like the people as friends that I've never met before on the socials? And that sent me down a path that really helped me bring in my past, where I'm fascinated with neuroscience and human behavior. And so fast forward, I wrote a couple books. I did a whole bunch of study on our brains and social media. And essentially, our brains have no idea that we're looking at each other's faces through a screen or in the real world across from each other at a table.
Really?
And so truly, you can build digital trust through a device, through a screen. And that really took off in 2020 when a lot of us were forced to get on Zoom and Teams meetings and Skype and FaceTime because we weren't going anywhere. So my background has made a very kind of, wide range of pathways, but ultimately where I started is where I ended. Human behavior, psychology, real connection, and helping guide people. And I didn't see it that it would happen in this way, but it certainly has been really interesting.
Yeah. I find that so interesting that you started on Snapchat.
Yes, yes, one of the hardest apps to ever get found on. People said, "You're never going to build a brand there. You can't find anyone. There's no search. What kind of content do you want to disappear? Like my kids are on that." I had everything against me, and it just goes to prove that whatever you focus on expands, and you can be successful and build your brand and relationships on any app. And you will have clients on any app. So if you're thinking, "Oh no, my clients aren't on TikTok or it's not for me," you don't have to be everywhere. But the idea, this limiting belief that, we won't be able to find our community on an app is untrue.
Are you still on Snapchat?
You know what? I'm not. I was so sad. I fought it for years and years and years. I don't know if you can see, like right here on my book, these are the Snapchat spectacles. These are the little, like, these are the original, like, Meta glasses, right? And so I keep that in my little museum of, of history. But no, it was really sad because when Instagram came out with Instagram stories, that essentially was Snapchat.
Oh, I remember that.
So everybody moved over to Instagram because Instagram had a lot more things than Snapchat did. Discovery was one of them, where people could easily find you, and there was an algorithm there that would maybe help you show up on the Explore page or what have you. So I went over to Instagram begrudgingly, and I never liked Instagram, and now that's my favorite place. So it is interesting how that led me to where I have created a thriving community, and I did not want to go there.
Yeah. I remember that whole transition. I don't remember what year it was, but everyone was so used to doing the Snapchat thing, and then Instagram stories came out, and you're like, wait, I can't film it once and post it on both very easily. It was like a whole thing. And then Reels came out. It was like this whole progression. So this is a good segue into, since you've been doing this for quite some time, what is still true in 2025 about video that was true 5 years ago, and what completely has changed or is different?
So I would have to say that the easy answer for what's changed is just the formatting, the platforms, the different bells and whistles, the different tools that you can use. What I love to talk about is that literally nothing has changed in the world of sales and marketing and personal branding. It's always been about relationships. I remember 25 years ago, I'd walk into my office. My boss asked me the same thing every single day. How many conversations have you had today? And that's truly what it's about. Whether you are curating a potential new relationship with someone, whether you are making sure that you are nurturing a relationship with a past client, you need to talk to them. And 25 years ago, let's face it, it was real hard. It didn't feel really hard, but like, think about it. A busy day for me was like 3 people because I would have to drive somewhere and meet them for coffee. And then I would come into my office and do some work. And then I would go meet a client at their house for the listing presentation. So we had to have someone's phone number and leave a message and wait for them to listen to it when they actually did in the old days, and then call us back. We had to have emails. We had to have pay postage to put something in the mail and then wait weeks for somebody to open it and look at it while they were throwing it away. Now with social media, we have this incredible free CRM, right? We all know the importance of a database, a CRM, but here's the twist. Your regular CRM or database does not have any context, meaning I have no idea what's going on in the world of people when I send out my email newsletter, not a clue. And 9 times out of 10, when we're sending out an email newsletter, it's probably something that's about our brand. And yes, it's value and education, but it's serving a purpose. Whereas when you're on social media, I know that, the kiddos are going back to school, right? I just did the post where it's like, my kiddo's going back to school and here's what he wants to be when he grows up. And of course we had to do that picture. Well, I had so many conversations from people that said, oh my gosh, I can't believe that he's going into junior high. Oh my gosh, my kids don't go back for another 3 weeks, because we have context. And when you have context, you are able to have a conversation that is tailor-made to make that person feel seen. We didn't have that 25 years ago unless I literally saw you in person. So now with social media, we can have conversations at scale. And because I just told you the science, our brain still does all the same neurons firing and wiring. That's why we feel like I know this person, and it's weird because I've never actually met them in the physical world, but I feel like I already know them. And that's the goal, is to make content that can make a stranger feel like they know us. And so nothing has changed. The problem is our brains do not think social media is real. And while, of course, yes, we know social media isn't real, it's not real when I am talking to someone and sharing something and commenting on their kiddos going back to school, or someone's looking at my eyes when I'm creating a video. So when I'm talking to my parents on FaceTime and I say, I love you, nobody would be like, that's not real because it's through a screen.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the case. So we don't think that social media is real. So we show up really differently there. And we do a lot of things on social media we would never think of doing offline, in the quote unquote real world. So to come back to your story, it's all the same thing. It's human connections. And wow, can you do that at scale for free in your bed before you get out of it, right? Nobody's going to know where you're at when you're just making people feel seen. You're commenting, you're engaging, you're sharing their content, and you have context. Like, what if somebody's having a really hard day and maybe they got into a fender bender and they're like, oh my gosh, I just, here's the picture of my car, right? Maybe instead of commenting, I'm just going to take it offline into the real world and I'm going to send them like some, DoorDash or some Uber Eats. Be like, you've had a tough day. I'm just thinking of you, right? So that's what's so critical and has never changed. And as far as I'm concerned, will never change, especially in the age of AI. The advantage we have is literally human.
Yeah. You said so many good things. I'm just like processing. I think I always say like the what we're doing, this is exactly probably what you just said, but in my own words, the what we're doing has always been the same, but the how has changed. So now we get to incorporate this phone screen. We get to incorporate the email. We get to incorporate the listing landing page. And we get to incorporate the in-person pieces. And when you just said, like, send them DoorDash or something, that's when I got excited, because I love when your strategy comes together like a nice little zipper. And by the time they're ready to work with you, just like you said, you feel like you're already best friends because you're being authentic. You attract what you are. So if you're being authentic to yourself, you're going to attract your besties. And it's like, just like you said with the context piece, like, it's not just another email in my CRM. It's Chelsea, who has a kiddo my age, who loves rainbow, colorful things, who is so bright and bubbly and lovely. It's different. It just hits different.
Yeah. And the reason it hits different is because when you are talking to someone, right, when you are commenting on their Instagram story about, whatever they might be doing, maybe it's their birthday, maybe it's, they're a celebratory thing, maybe it's just their cute dog. And you're like, oh my gosh, I love seeing your dog, just makes me smile. You're creating an experience with your brand on their terms. And I keep trying to think about any other times that you can really create an experience with your brand on other people's terms. And there's not many. And it's because we're not like, oh, and by the way, I can, also do this. It's the pure, like, I just want to help you feel seen and supported. And that's what I'm doing as a human being. And that's what I mean by doing weird things that we wouldn't do in person. Like if I ran into you at Target, I'd be like, oh my gosh, hi, how are you? We'd chit chat, right? I wouldn't hand you my business card at the end and be like, and don't forget, right? Like, I probably wouldn't do that, because you might be like rolling through Target and be like, oh, that kind of got weird at the end. Like we wouldn't necessarily do that, right? We have small talk, we connect. And then we go about our day, right? And so those are the things we need to think about. I'm not saying you shouldn't talk about what you do. You absolutely have to. That is part of the strategy, right? And people say, well, how do I know when to do that? How do you know in real life? If you and I were at Target and you said, hey, how's it going in blah, 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 real estate, whatever. It's funny. I have a neighbor who's thinking about moving. And then I say, oh, okay, great. Well, let me know. You guys know when to do it in the real world. Why are we concerned? Why are we like, oh, I don't know what to do? So the question is, what would I do in real life? You will know when the time is right for you to actually talk about what you do, right? But if you don't talk about you and humanity and connection, they're less likely to even see the content where it's expertise based, right? Because the more you talk to someone, the more they see your future content. So that's what we're talking about. It's not that you shouldn't talk about what you're doing. You know, in the real world, when the opportunity arrives, right? You know when that's gonna happen and what to do. And the same thing happens online.
Yeah. I tell my clients, like, if you do this correctly, they will actually be the ones that end up bringing it up. And one of my clients, the first time it happened, she was like, oh my God, they brought it up. They asked what I did.
Exactly. 9 times out of 10, they will bring it up because you've been chatting, you've been talking, right? 9 times out of 10, it will come up. They will bring it up and they will directly ask you. It's just interesting how our brains work and how that all happens.
For sure. And I love that you have the psychology piece behind it. That's something I always ask ChatGPT. I'm like, hey, I'm trying to do this. What's the psychology behind this? Or like, what's the marketing psychology we could apply? I love that. Okay. So we're going to try, this is the very first ever social media hot seat, if you're down.
Okay.
This is me and Chat's idea as of last night.
Okay, we love that. We love our AI helpers.
So I've never actually tried to share my screen on here before, but I think this will work. Perfect. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. I just pulled up, for those of you who aren't watching on YouTube or Spotify, I just pulled up Chelsea's Instagram profile. And I'm going to skip your pinned post. I'm going to come down to your 6 most recent. And what I'd love to do is I'd love you to pick one. And then I'd love for you to share us kind of like the thought process behind why you posted it and what you learned from the analytics as well.
Well, first of all, I don't look at analytics.
Okay, interesting.
Ever. Well, let me tell you why. Right? Let's talk about this. I am a social media rebel. I don't follow the quote unquote rules because we live in a different world. We do not control the metrics. We do not control the algorithm. I am purposely making content that does not follow the guidelines and tips of virality. My goal is to have a viable message for a viable human, not a viral moment. Because I know that the one person, a viable message for a viable human, not a viral moment. We want viable, not viral.
Yes.
Okay. And here's the thing. You have to throw out the metrics if that's what you're going to do. Because one, we don't control the algorithm. Nobody even knows what a view actually constitutes on Instagram anymore. Last I read, it was showing in your feed. Okay, great. Like, how's that helping me? And you can't measure the most impactful moments. I just had somebody in my DMs that literally said to me, your magic post from a year ago where you talked about blah, 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 still sits with me. Wow. I bet that person didn't even comment. Okay. So you cannot measure an aha moment. You can't measure when someone says, this is my person. You can't say, oh my gosh, thank you for giving me the permission. Can't measure it. So I'm not saying that metrics don't have a place. And if you love metrics, but if you're like me and you're really self-aware and you know that you could get into a spiral and then change your content strategy and chase something or feel bad about something, second guess something and overthink, stop looking at the metrics. Make up your own. And those metrics, and this is gonna be perfect because I'm gonna pick this post too. The one that says August You, that one right there, that carousel post.
This one.
Yes, that's the one, right? That's the one that I want to talk about because it's talking about August You is living what January You could only imagine, right? And in here, it's talking about what if, right? Imagine if, and it says between January and August, you've made small, subtle changes. You don't need to go viral. You need to be consistent. They've always added up in ways you're just starting to feel. A lot of people feel like, oh, August, oh my gosh, I should be farther ahead. Or January, we always like start over, right? And I should be doing this. And everybody, comparison, right? And so it says, what if the algorithm changed and you didn't even notice? Love that for you. You're winning. I don't even notice the algorithm changes. You posted all the drafts and the hashtags you forgot didn't matter anyway.
Ooh.
You let go of who wasn't aligned So there was space for who was. You stop looking at the follower count. I don't look at follower count. I have no idea who's unfollowed me, nor do I care, because I'm like, good, self-selected out. You trusted yourself instead of the metrics. You said, you know what? I feel compelled to make this. I feel creative when I make this. I want to make this first. Rick Rubin, I don't know if anybody's read that book, but that Rick Rubin book, oh my gosh, so good. The Creative Act. He was like, I don't care what anybody thinks. The artist is making it for the artist, right? And that's the true energetic gift that we give to the people in that community. And then I think this might be the last one. Intuition became your content strategy. Meaning, philosophically, that, it's about self-trust. Like, it's not about the newest hack. Yeah, you can do hooks and hacks, and you can get the numbers, and you can do trending audio. And how does that leave you feeling on the inside? You have permission to do things differently. You have permission to never post in the feed. If you want to talk to people and build thriving relationships by literally being a super fan of other people's content and being in their DMs, let me tell you, people don't remember what you posted 2 weeks ago. They remember your presence. That's it. So I don't know what you were going to ask, but maybe I answered all of that. That's the one I'm picking.
I love
August,
it.
The plot twist, January you never saw coming.
I'm like, okay, so we talked about at the very beginning, like, you want your content to make your people feel something. Like, this is the ultimate, like, makes me feel seen post. Like, I can totally relate to, like, okay, I'm gonna make this tiny little.
I made this for me. You guys, I made this for me. Let me be really clear. I made this for me too, because I'm not immune. I am a human. And even though I don't look at metrics, I'm like, oh man, geez, what happened? So I write for me first, always. And I'm hoping that a lot of people, like you just said, whew, that was good. I feel seen. But they didn't comment. And that's okay. And that's why I just say you have to be aware of what metrics can provide you and what metrics can never provide you. And I always err on the side of can never provide you, because it's like, I'm a dog mom, right? I love Daisy to pieces. She's never taught me a darn thing, right? Like, but she's got so much value. So it's like, views don't equal value. Like, value comes in all shapes and sizes. And the way that we consume content now, we just watch it like TV. We don't even leave a comment, So keep up the good work. You're doing it.
I love it. Okay, so the next piece of the hot seat is I want to kind of pick apart a few strategy things that you may have implemented and kind of get your thoughts on it. So I love this post. Again, it made me feel seen. It made me think. It made me do all the things. Were you thinking about, and I think I know the answer, but were you thinking about any kind of strategy when you made this, or how did this idea come about in your brain?
So this idea is actually a repurpose of a reel that I made, excuse me, I think it was in December or January. And the reel was me in my living room / kitchen. And it was like, what if this was the plot twist? Like, what if instead of this year, you're focusing on this, you focus on this instead? And so this actually is a repurposed idea from a reel that I already did. But this is also in a lot of my coaching, my teaching. I dive deeply into what I call limiting beliefs that all of us have as human beings in some form or fashion when it comes to how can I be successful, or what is it that I'm doing wrong that's not helping me be successful on social media. And so there's a lot of limiting beliefs. And a lot of the limiting beliefs have to do with, well, I don't know the algorithm, or the algorithm doesn't like me. And so I take those challenges that I know my clients and myself are feeling, and that's where I pull from. And this is also in part of my strategy for when I talk about shareable content. One of my pillars of shareable content is thought leadership, and where people are called in to think about things in a new way, a perspective shift, if you will. And so this would fall under that category of thought leadership and perspective shift.
What are your other pillars?
Oh, let's see. So now this is just for like expertise shareable content. Like I look at three major pillars. I look at personal expertise and sales. And inside of expertise, the way my brain breaks it down is one, I have insider tips, right? These are like your FAQs, the things, the cheat codes you've learned over the years of doing what you're doing, right? Maybe you've been in the industry 30 years and you're like, oh, actually nobody even like thinks about this. So insider tips, breaking news. So that's like, you've seen people with green screen and say, oh my gosh, look, Instagram's new, blah, 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 blah. Or this is a new commercial development going into downtown. So there's breaking news where you're like the resource. People start to like look to you for the latest information. So there's breaking news, insider tips, lived experiences, which are personal stories, right? This is what happened to my client. This is what I did, right? Or I tried this, experiments, etc. And then the last one is the thought leadership. And those are perspective shifts. And my favorite one, which also I think is kind of the hardest one, but you can use your AI companion to help you think through this, are answering unasked questions. And the reason we don't ask questions is there's two reasons. One, we just don't even think about it, right? We're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even that would never have come to my mind, right? You as the expert are going to be able to come up with those questions. And the other reason that people don't ask questions is because, and I'm sure you've had this happen, where you're teaching a class and someone raises their hand and they say, I know this is a silly question, or I know that this is, something that's so obvious. And we feel this like shame and embarrassment that we should know, or that, I don't want somebody to see, especially in a public comment thread, asking a question. Mm-hmm. So unasked questions, when people see that and they go, I actually never thought about that. That's really, that was helpful, right? Now they may not even leave a comment, but that little shift. And when you can have a shift in someone's mind, they start to associate you with that shift. Yes. And when you can connect with people and explain their problem so articulately that they're like, wow, are you in my brain right now? They automatically believe that you can help them solve that problem. So that is a little bit more challenging than reporting on breaking news. Yeah. But that's like my favorite kind of thought leadership. So those are my four categories: breaking news, insider tips, lived experience, and thought leadership.
I love those. And I love that they're more like in-depth descriptive than like educational, entertaining.
Well, that's where I started. Yeah. And everybody evolved, right? We all started. Yep. My brand is different now. And I started, education, entertaining, right? So we all have to start somewhere. Yes.
Hey, quick break to talk about something I'm really proud of because it has changed the way hundreds of real estate agents show up online. It's called Social Simplicity, and honestly, it's the easiest way to get access to my coaching without the one-on-one price tag. Since 2021, this program has helped agents generate more leads, save hours every week, and finally feel confident about their content because you're not doing it alone. You're learning the exact strategies I've used for 10 plus years, surrounded by a supportive community, guest VIP trainers, and me walking you through what's actually working right now. And the best part, I teach you how to graduate because the goal isn't to need me forever. It's to build systems that make social media simple, sustainable, and yours. You can join us anytime at thesimpletouches.com/social-simplicity, or just tap the link in the show notes. Now, back to the episode. So this is my selfish question for you.
I can't wait.
Because it's just something that comes up a lot in my coaching, and I'm sure it comes up with yours, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. When a client comes at you and is like, what's the ROI? When am I going to get a client?
I love this question. Okay, let me give you a more detailed question. Okay. I love this question. My favorite client in the whole world is somebody who is like I said, overwhelmed, totally resentful, Gen X or boomer, does not want to use social media and is being forced to be at this conference. Yep. Like that is my favorite. So the question I get all the time is, okay, Chelsea, seriously, how is posting what I had for lunch going to help me get more listings? Prove it. Okay. Now, I'm being a little jokey here, right? You don't have to post your lunch unless you want to. But the ROI of social media, one, is very hard to measure, which because people expect, it's like, when can I get results? Well, when will I get my first sale? Well, when will this lead to this? And you're like, well, I can only give you like the number of views, the audience retention. Like, unless you have like a tracking system and a funnel, you really can't measure what people are building trust with. So it's kind of difficult. But what happens is, what's the ROI of going to a BNI meeting for a month, right? You're connecting with people, you're creating relationships. Now, granted, BNI meetings, you're going to get a referral there. So that's a little bit, you might say, well, I get a referral there. It's over the time. It's like, what's the ROI of going to the gym for the rest of your life and doing yoga? Well, I don't go 1 week and then, see amazing results. Or as Gary Vee said, what's the ROI of your mom? There's a lot. We can't quantify it. We can't measure it. But what happens is when you create relationships, right? It is a long-term commitment. Again, what would you do in real life? Would you meet 200 people in a week? That would be weird. You wouldn't. Yeah. That would be so strange. You wouldn't even meet 20 people in a week unless you went to like a conference, and even 20 people is a lot to really get to know.
Yeah.
Meeting one person a week and slowly getting to know them over months is normal. Okay, we have forgotten. We think, oh, social media, I could, just get 20 new people and they should be thinking about working with me. Absolutely not. That would never happen in real life. So we have to remember that it mimics like the same brain we have offline. Sorry to tell y'all, is the same brain we have online. So the way that I need to build trust with you in the real world is the same way I need to build trust with you in the online world. And the problem is that if you don't give me the kind of content that is human, right? If you're not in it, not that you can't be successful, you absolutely can. But what I will tell you, and I will put money down on, is that you will absolutely exponentially accelerate results if your personality and your perspective are in the content, because you're a personal brand. Right? So yeah, you only want to make real estate content that's educational. That's cool. It's going to take you longer than somebody who's doing some human stuff and also really telling people about their successes in sales, right? If you only do personal stuff and you're like, my category is human, I just have so many conversations, like I don't even really want to talk about real estate. Well, you're not going to make as many real estate transactions as somebody who is doing both of those things. So it's not necessarily that there's like one way to do it, but the ROI of social media, you're going to be hard pressed, because that's like saying, what's the ROI of your kid or the ROI of going to the gym? It doesn't work that way, because humans are not metrics. Humans are humans. And the way that we consume social media is very different now. It's like we go to Netflix and randomly pick out a show, and we don't start at episode 1, we start at episode 9. And then after we watch that one, we go to another random show and watch episode 5. That's what we have, TV of random episodes in our feed. We don't engage with strangers. We simply watch. So it's even harder to gauge what's working. So that's why, in my mind, it's totally freeing to just do whatever you want. Because I'm like, I don't look at the metrics. I don't look at what's trending. I know how I consume, and I know I'm in this business, and I still don't engage. I watch for a year. I watch for 2 years, and then eventually I reach out.
I think I've been following you for about 2 years.
At least.
And finally I was like, hey, would you please?
And what did we say as soon as we got on? Oh my gosh, I feel like I already know you. It's wild, right? It's so weird that like we haven't talked before, because I feel like I just saw you.
I love it. Okay, and then I'm looking at the caption on this post. And for those of you who aren't looking at it, it is a bunch of like little mini paragraphs, like one-liners, and you have all of these line breaks, very few emojis, and you have maybe like 8 hashtags at the end. Do you have any tips or like quick wins that somebody could maybe apply to their caption strategy?
Mm-hmm. So I like to write, okay? I like to have a lengthy caption. And people say, why? Why are you doing a lengthy caption even on like a reel? Nobody's even reading it. I go, well, one person might, and maybe they want more information. Maybe they want extra things. And so I write it because I like to be thorough. I like to teach. So if you don't like to do any of that, you don't have to. The benefit of putting words and content and keywords is, reminder, everything is searchable now on Google, off social and on social. And even if a human being doesn't read those words, I know the algorithm is. And I know it's helping that, digital librarian understand what my book is about and where to put it on the shelves, right? And then say, oh, here's the book for you when somebody's looking for it. So if you aren't very wordy, that's okay. I still think you should probably have something in there. But because I do such educational content, I like to put that and I like to add. I don't repeat what I've done in the video or the post, but I will add to it or give examples or something like that. As far as the hashtags, I mean, my thoughts, and again, let me be very clear. I do not have proof of this. I'm just sort of like joking opinion here. I wonder if hashtags even like stopped working ages ago. And like, we just can't let go of change. Like, we just don't want to let go of the hashtags. Cause like,
just
think
in
about
case,
it.
just in case.
AI is so smart.
Yeah.
Like AI is like, it knows what we're saying. So we probably haven't had to use the hashtag symbol for years, but for good measure, I'm still putting it in there. But I think that's going to be really hard for us humans, especially on Instagram, because we are so used to it. We just don't like change.
Yeah.
But I think, making it readable is important. I'm working on a book project right now, and that's a big part of it for me with my editors. I want this to be very like short. Like, I don't want it to be big blocks, because that's just, how our brains read now. That's just a function of formatting and what we consume. So I don't think you need to spend too much attention. The old days of, remember when we would go to like, I don't even know what it was called, the Instagram caption thing where it would be like, here's the space and then like, here's the emoji. I just write it out. And you know what I do is I use those. I use them for blog posts. You can put them into Chat GPT and say, hey, can you expand upon this? And I always, I've trained my chat. So my chat knows my work. So I'm not just saying, hey, can you expand on this? I'm saying, go through my work on this topic and can you expand? And then I can put it on my website, or I can put it in a newsletter. A lot of my posts become my newsletter that I email out.
Yes. I love that idea of like, when you are done creating the content, your caption is just kind of like either your thought process as you were making it, you're adding on to whatever you made, like whatever point you made in the content. That's super easy. I like that thought process. Can you share a story? It could be either yours or a client's story about where content clearly turned into a contract.
Oh my gosh, so many. I mean, we just don't even have the time. I'll give you one that's wild, right? Because I know the ROI question that we had, right? I got a DM. No, wait, did I get an email? I think I got an email. I can't remember which one it was. I think maybe it was an email. I got an email and it was somebody who was with one of the real estate associations. And she said, I would love to have you speak at our event. And she goes into the story about where she knows me from. I didn't, at the time, I was like, I don't think I know who this person is. And she said, you probably don't remember, but 8 years ago, I watched you speak at blank. You were wearing this outfit. You were talking about this topic, and we got to meet up after the conference, and it was lovely, Now, 8 years is a long time for a cycle of quote unquote lead generation, right? But it just goes to show I didn't even know this person was watching. I had no idea. And that turned into a keynote for me. And so absolutely, this happens all the time. And what really happens, and I'm sure your audience will relate to this, is when they run into people in person and they say, oh my gosh, I know we love watching your videos. And you're like, really? Because I don't think I've ever seen you comment. Right? And so that's why I love that we're back in person, because for a few years we weren't seeing people in the same way. And so we didn't get those opportunities for people to say, oh, hey, how was your trip to whatever? Well, how would they know? They wouldn't know, because unless I shared my vacation, spot on my post. Like, people are watching. And so, I think that's one of my favorite stories, the 8 years it took to, and following my content, not really ever engaging, never commenting on my stories, and then booking it. And that happens to me all the time.
Okay, I'm going to share one of my favorite hacks I've never shared before on social media or on a podcast. So your story just made me think about it. But
hold on.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So here's my biggest hack that kind of goes along with what she's saying about in-person and offline. So if I'm going to teach somewhere or I'm going to a conference where I know that my ideal client is going to be there in surplus, I will go to the event Instagram. I will go to the organization that's throwing it, their Instagram, and I will go to their followers and I will start following, commenting, all the things of people who appear to be my target audience going to this event. So that way, when they see my name on the program, they're like, hey, this girl just followed me. Like I'm a little bit intrigued.
So smart.
Right?
So smart.
It happens
I love that.
all the time. They're like, wait, I just started following you.
Yes.
and you're like,
yeah, I know.
That's so weird. What? The fate.
I love that. That's such a good tip. Yes.
And also, if you do have the opportunity to, speak or wherever where your ideal clients in the audience, just like you said, getting them to follow you, or not even getting them to follow you, giving them the information if they want to follow you. That's where it's going to be like, you're going to stay top of mind with little effort, right? You're just making your content, but it's going to allow them to, every time they see you, go back to that day that they met you and where they felt, because people don't remember what you say, they remember how you made them feel. So they're going to go back to that feeling of, she helped me so much with this one thing. And they're just going to continue to see you and associate you with that expertise.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay, so we're going to do a little confession booth.
Okay.
So I'd love to know.
I already gave my confession. I don't look at metrics. That's my big confession.
No, we're going deeper, girl. I would love to know the most cringe marketing moment you've never shared before publicly.
I don't think I have any that I haven't shared publicly, because all of the cringe marketing moments I could think of were public on video. So here's what I used to do, right? So back in the old days, right, of like, I want to say like 10 years ago, because we forget, like Facebook Live was like brand new. But now it's like, we don't even do Facebook Lives that much, but like, it was so new. And I started this 30-day, like, I'm going to go live every 30 days.
Yep.
And I was like in my backyard. And I just remember I was so nervous. I was like sweating. I don't even know what I said on these lives. Like, I don't even, like, I won't even go back and look. I probably should, but I just had like, a very specific like introduction. It's kind of like all the things that we don't do now, right? Like I had like a show name and like a jingle-y type of, memorable thing. I don't know if I could say it. Let me see if I could say it. It used to be like, welcome to, it was something it was like Snap Show, because it was Snapchat related. Snap Show where marketing something, I can't even remember, but it was like a whole thing. And yeah, so I just remember being like so nervous and just talking. I don't even know what I was saying. So I'd say that's, cringe, but also awesome, because I wouldn't be here now. So I say cringe with, air quotes, because I think that's endearing, not cringy.
Yeah. No, I get that. Like, I would struggle with that question too, because every time I quote unquote struggle, I learn from it. And that's what has impacted my strategy today, is like all of my little learning points. So I totally understand that. Before we do our last couple of things, we are running a little bit over. I appreciate your time though. I'd love to know if a client or if a realtor has a new listing, what's your 5-piece content sequence from coming soon to under contract?
I don't have a 5-piece content sequence. I don't.
Tell me more. So like, if you had a client that had a new listing and they're like, Chelsea, what the heck do I do? This is a great listing. I want to make sure everyone sees it. Like, what would you tell them as advice?
Yeah. So, I think that it's important to know how people are using social media. And the way that I break up content, I mentioned, personal expertise in sales. So a listing, if you're just posting about the listing, like, of course, you can do like a beautiful home tour, welcome to blah, 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 blah. That is what I consider a sales post. Okay, because you are showcasing your products,
Yes.
your wares, so to speak, right? Now, ultimately, you may or may not be in there. Maybe you're doing a voiceover. Ultimately, I really love to see the person, the personal brand, being in the majority. Doesn't have to be all of it. Whether it's a voiceover, whether it's you in the actual video itself or the photo, but you're going to have some content, especially if it's listings, that are not probably going to have you in it, and that's perfectly fine. So what I would encourage anyone to do is to think about, can I talk about this listing in more than just sales? Because sales is not going to, it's not designed for engagement. It's not designed for search or shares. It's not designed to build trust, right? So your expertise content, where maybe you are at the home, but you're talking about something in the market or you're doing a market update, that kind of content is more likely to be searchable, because what am I going to do? Type in a address? Maybe, but like probably not, right? So I'm going to be typing in questions, topics, etc. And so sales content, you just have to know that when you are making it, whether it's 5 pieces or 2 pieces or whatever, you have to know that that sales content is super important, because it's going to provide social proof. You have to market your listings. You have to say, look, successful, closed, awesome, right? But if that's what we only focus on, okay, that is not for comments. You're probably not going to get 100 comments on any of those pieces, right? Whether it's like just coming soon, just listed, home tour, right? Whatever your process is that you want to do, it's not going to get engagement. That's not what it's for. It's truly to be in the right place in their right time, to provide social proof that, oh yeah, that's right, this is what you do, and you've done that, right? And it's also to get people to take action. Is there someone in the world who may see your house tour and actually go look at it? Sure. They see that you have an open house coming up and go, yeah. So that's all sales content. So I would say to not get stuck only in that, because what's going to happen is you're going to get disappointed and discouraged because it doesn't get comments, it doesn't get engagement, and it doesn't build connection. And so there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. That's under sales. But the expertise part of it is really what's going to get people to trust you as someone who can sell their home. And then when they see the houses that you've sold, they're reminded, oh, that's right. Yes, you do actually do what you said you did and had expertise when you were showing us information about the market and understanding the process and answering commonly asked questions and answering unasked questions. That falls in the expertise. Yeah, now we see you doing what you're doing. It's kind of like when I signed up for this newsletter and this person emailed me every week and I just deleted it. I never unsubscribed. I don't know why. And 6 months after, I don't know what it was, I just decided to open up the email, and guess who bought the course? Me, right? I would never have bought the course had I just not been in the right mindset, right? I need the sales content to pop in my time and remind me and say, this is social proof, and also you can take action, because you're obviously showing people what you're going to do for their properties as well. So just know that those types of content, unless you're doing something really out of the box, which we've seen lately, some very out of the box, very quote unquote entertaining listings or listing videos, if you will, that have made, news headlines and stuff like that. Or if you have something that perhaps like is a $45 million property, right? You're probably not going to get a large amount of engagement, and that's okay, but that's not what it's for. So while I didn't really answer that for you, I don't have a set thing for every person. But I think that it's important to know that if that's all you have, you're probably not going to get a lot of engagement and relationship building and actually get more conversions if you're only focused on sales content only.
I love that explanation. If you did not process all of that, please rewind, because that was so well said. And there were so many like mini lessons within there. One of my favorite is you don't like, yeah, you want to do the fancy house tour because you want, just like you said, you want to be able to show future sellers, this is how I can market your home. It's beautiful, whatever. However, that does not have to be the only piece of content you post about this house, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can do your like rapport building or expertise building content in a room in the house. And then at the very end of your caption, be like, by the way, do you like this house in Dallas, Texas? Comment blah, 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 and I'll send you more information, right? So I do that a lot with like, let's say, broad example, I have a Canva webinar coming up. So anytime I talk about Canva on Instagram, even if it has nothing to do with the webinar, anytime I talk about Canva at the very end, I'm like, by the way, if you want to learn more about Canva, comment ticket and I'll send you the information. So anytime you can reference back to what you're trying to sell, great. Anytime you can like sneak it in there without it being salesy, even better.
Love that. Very smart.
Okay, so for the second to last thing, we are going to do a reverse takeover, and I'm going to give you 3-ish minutes to ask me whatever you want to ask me, and we can talk about whatever you want to talk about.
I would like to know what the number one, I don't want to say complaint, but the number one challenge that you are seeing now that wasn't around a few years ago. Like, what are you seeing now for your clients that's like the major challenge that maybe is like surprising you? Like, I wasn't thinking that.
I think, and Instagram, I feel like is kind of course correcting a little bit with when Reels were introduced, they were getting such good reach that everyone had to train themselves to go switch to video content, right? And now that everyone is primarily only making Reels for the most part, especially if they just kind of started in the last couple of years, they were trained like Reels are the way you're going to make sales, meet new people, et cetera, et cetera. I feel like Instagram's course correcting a little bit, and now carousels are kind of coming back to life. It's okay to go make your pretty carousel in Canva if you don't want to be on camera that day, but everyone's now trained to do video. So I think the challenge, and this is where I really try to support my membership realtors and anyone I'm coaching, is kind of recognizing those shifts. And I know you said you're not a metric person. I studied math. I'm a data girly. I'm a data nerd.
I love it. I love it.
But I do struggle with exactly what you were talking about. I struggle with getting like so caught up in the numbers that I don't post what I naturally would have posted if I didn't look at them. So definitely something to be aware of. But being aware of, okay, now, because you don't want to do what everyone else is doing, like the common thread with all the realtors that I've interviewed on the podcast is they were early to the club, right? Like they were early to do house tours. They were doing it before it was the norm, quote unquote, the norm.
Right.
So trying to be the one ahead of the curve and trying the things that Instagram actually wants to push. So right now I would say it's carousels, it's reposts, it's all the new stuff, right? That's where someone like a coach that, or me or you who does this full time, who is on the app a lot, probably will notice that somebody who's out showing houses and signing contracts might not be aware of. So that's probably the trickiest piece, and the piece that I really try to communicate when I find those patterns.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad that it's course correcting, and I'm also kind of glad that everybody got used to video.
Yeah. I think too, like, it's so much faster to get someone to trust you from a video than a picture. It's insane. And I know there's probably psychology behind it that you could talk about, but like think about seeing a picture of somebody, like a picture of an owner of a company or something, versus like them talking about why they started the company, like completely different feels.
Right.
Okay. Last piece before we wrap up is your future letter to yourself. So fast forward 5 years, what do you want to be known for?
I want to be known for helping people see things differently and really truly giving them permission. And whether that's in social media, whether that's in entrepreneurship, whether that's in any other industry, my purpose on this earth is to bring and share joy, and to also help people give them permission, whether it's to do social media their own way, to do it in an aligned way. And so that's what I envision myself doing for the literal rest of my life. It's joy and empathy and permission giving. And I was born to be a teacher. I could teach probably all different kinds of topics. I never expected to be a teacher, never planned on it, but it is what fuels me, and my ability to communicate is my ability to connect with other people. So I don't know what shape or, what kind of job or industry, maybe it'll be the same. Maybe it'll be completely different, but I do know that that's where I will be going.
I love it. Where can everyone find you, and what should they grab first of yours?
Yeah, obviously Instagram, everywhere by my name. It's Chelsea.Peitz, Peitz, and my website is that. You can find me. You'll find me. My favorite place to hang out is Instagram. And if you click on there and go to my website, there's a whole resources page. My favorite, I really like the one that's like share-worthy or shareable content ideas.
Ooh.
I like that because I give a lot of visual examples, and they're all real estate and mortgage. And so I'm a visual learner, so I would grab that. I think it's like 50 some pages. So
wow.
It's meaty.
I'm looking at it right now. I'm like, I want that.
Yeah, go get it.
I love it. Well, I appreciate your time.
Me too. Thank you so much. It was so fun.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Simplifying Social Media. Let's stay connected on Instagram. And if you're interested in working with me, head over to thesimpletouches.com and see all my social media marketing services for real estate agents. And I'll see you guys on the next episode.